of these fractions are equivalent. They have the exact same value. All of them express the same value, which is half. And half is expressed in its simplest form here. This also means half, and so does this, and so does this. So 4 over 8, 3 over 6, where the number on the top is half of the number on the bottom. Number on the top is half of the number on the bottom. That means the number on the top, you times 2, you get the number on the bottom. So any fraction, the number on the top, you times 2 to get the number on the bottom, that too will be equivalent to these 4 fractions, because they will all have the same value. They will all be only shading off half of the whole. Before we start solving the problems from the worksheet, the first thing we'll do is go through a few examples so you learn how to more easily tackle a problem of reducing to the lowest terms. I've got 3 examples here, and the first example is the simplest. It is 300 over 900. So the first step is you look at the smaller number. Smaller number is the one on top. It's 300. Now, that is always the easiest way to approach it. First, you try and find the factors of the top number before you find the factors of the bottom number. But this one is a special case. The beauty of things that are numbers which are multiples of 10 or 100 is that if they have the zeros after, both in the numerator and the denominator, very quick trick, cross on the top and on the bottom. For every 0 on the top, you can cross 1 on the bottom. You've got 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, you can cross them both out. Right? Only cross if there's a matching 1 on the top. All right, so now you're left with 3 over 9. Now 3, what are the factors of 3? 3 is one of those special numbers. There's only 1 and 3 which are factors. 1 times 3. There's no other way to get to 3 if you're using whole numbers. So 1 times 3. The next number we tackle is the one on the bottom. So it's the bigger number. Out of the 3 and the 9 is the bigger number. So that's the second one we tackle. But the important thing to do is to look for a factor of 9 that is similar to one of the factors that you already have. Now, of course, 9 times 1 is 9. Every single number has a factor of at least 1 and itself. So 1, yes, that's a no-brainer. What about 3? 3 times what is equal to 9? 3 threes? Okay. 3 times 3. See, I told you it was a simple one. So now you have a 3 on the top, and you have a 3 on the bottom. Cross, cross. Just like you did with the 0 at the beginning. Cross on the top, cross on the bottom. What are you left with? 1 over 3. 1 you cannot simplify any further. Once you get to a fraction where either the numerator or the denominator is 1, that's it. You can't simplify the fraction anymore. So that's your answer, 1 over 3. Now, let's go on to one that is a little bit more interesting. $45 over 900. Okay. All right. What did I say we should do? Look at the smallest number, 45. Right. What are possible factors of 45? 1 times 45? Yes. What about other options? Since the number ends with 5, you know 5 times something equals this. So you know immediately it's a factor of 5 is a factor. It's a multiple of 5. So we can start there. 5 times something equals 45. 5 times what? 9 fives? 9 fives are 45? $900. Like I said before, once you get to the bigger number, try and see if any of the numbers on the top are multiples of 900. Sorry, factors, not multiples. See if 900 is a multiple of any of these. Now, any number, there's a quick tip. Any number that ends in 0, any whole number that ends in 0 has factors of at least 5 and 10, because 2 5s will make 10. So if you have a number ending with 0, it's a multiple of 10, and it's also a multiple of 5. So why not let's go with the easiest win here. If I look at the top, I see 9 and 5. I know 5 is already in there because I just explained to you that any number ending with a 0, it has factors of at least 5 and 10 as well. Okay, so we know that already. What about 9? It's a bigger number. Let's try and knock 9 out first. 900. 9 times 100. That's a nice big one. 9 times 100. 900. 9 times 100. 9 times 100. You can see there's 9 on the top, 9 on the bottom. Cross, cross. Now you're left with 5 on the top. And when you're trying to expand a number in the bottom and you only have one number on the top, multiply it by 1. It doesn't make any difference to the top, but at least it puts 2 numbers on the top. So 5 times 1 is exactly the same as 5. That doesn't change anything. All it does is give you another number. So if you're going to cancel out the 5, at least there's something else there. Now, if you have 5 on the top, 5 times something equals 100? Yes, it ends in a 0, so you know it's a multiple of 5. 5 times 20? You know, in 100, you have 5 blocks of 20, right? 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Yes? 5 times 20. Cross the 2 5s out, and you're left with 1 over 20. Can it go any simpler? Like I said before, once you get to 1, either on the top or the bottom, you can't go down any further. You can't do anything with the 20 because whatever you do with the 20, you've got to do with the 1. And 1, you can't go down any further. So that is the simplest form of that fraction. It is that fraction in its lowest terms. Okay, on with the next one. $36 over 60. Now, one thing I should say is there are faster ways to do these fractions. You can break things into multiple factors in one go. But not only is that harder for many children, it's also open to a lot of error. So it's much easier to tackle these problems one step at a time, show you're working very clearly, so when you go back to check whether or not the answer is correct and whether you've shown you're working correctly, at least you can see step by step. And if you've made a mistake, you can see exactly where you made the mistake. And if you need to redo from that point onwards, Very good. But at least you can clearly see where you made the mistake. So I'm much more a fan of doing step by step, nice and slow, nice and clear, be very, very sure of each step. We'll look at the smaller number first, 36. 1 times 36, those are both factors. 36 is one of those nice numbers that roll off the tongue, especially when you do multiplications. 6, 6, 36, all rhyming. Okay, let's start there. There's nothing wrong with testing out numbers. If numbers don't work out, you can always start again. Six times 6 there. Now, 60, it's pretty easy to see that 60, you can use 6 in there. So 6 times what? 6 times 10. Okay, so now you're down to 6 over 10. Can you simplify 6 further? 6 times 1, yes. 2 times 3? I think those are your only options. So you only have 4 factors there, if you don't count the negatives. So let's try that. 2 times 3. Looking at the bigger number, 10. Is 10 a multiple of either 2 or 3? Any even number, so you know odd numbers and even numbers, any even number is a multiple of 2, especially if the number ends in a 0. 100% 2 is a multiple. 2 is a factor, sorry. So 2 times what is equal to 10? 2 5s. Okay, 2 5s. 2 crosses out. And now you're left with 3 over 5. Let's see, can we simplify it further? 3, only 2 factors. 1 times 3, if you're talking about whole numbers. 5, same thing, 1 times 5. I think that's the end of the line. That is that fraction in its lowest terms. All right, we're good. Okay, I want you to get your exercise books out or your pieces of paper out, and you copy down the questions. You can pause the video, copy down the questions, and get ready to solve them, because I want you to solve each one as we go before I give you the answer to each one. All right? We good? Number 1, 15 over 30. Now we've got to try and find factors of 15 and 30 and cancel out the common ones to reduce it to the least, to the lowest terms. So in the top, 1 times 15 and 3 times 5, right? 1 times 3 times 5, and on the bottom, 3 times 10. Yes, 3 times 10, and then the 10, of course, you can make it 2 times 5, so that reduces it further. Cross out the 5 on the top, the 5 on the bottom, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom, you're left with half, and that's the answer. Activity 11, number 2. 4 over 20. Reduce the one on top to factors. So you've got 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. Okay, let's start with the 2 and 2. And just throw a little 1 in there. Doesn't make any difference, the 1. 20 equals 2 times 10, right? We know that. But we know that 10 can be also 2 times 5. So let's have 2 times 2 times 5. Now, good, we've got 3 numbers on the top, 3 numbers on the bottom. So if we get rid of 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, we're still left with 1 each on the top and on the bottom. That works. Cross out 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. You're left with 1/5. And that's the answer. Number 3 of activity 11. Start it off. 9/18 equals, well, 9 is obviously 1 times 9 or 3 times 3. So let's put 1 times 9, but 9 can be expanded to 3 times 3. Okay. 18 is 2 times 9. So 2 times 9, which of course can be expanded to 3 times 3. Then that equals, if you cross out the 3 on the top and the 3 on the bottom, so there are two 3's on the top, 2 3's on the bottom. That works. Only 1 on top is left and the 2 on the bottom is left. That means the answer is 1/2. That's the answer. Number 4 in activity 11 is 21/56. 21/56. 21 is 7 3's, so we can start off with that. 7 times 3. 56. 7 7's are 49. 7 8's are 56. 7 8's. Now if we cross out the top 7 and the bottom 7, we're left with 3/8. Can we simplify the 8 more where there's a 3 in it? No, because the one on the top can only be 1 times 3. So really, that's all we can reduce it to. 3/8. That's the answer. Number 5 of activity 11 is 12/144. Now 144 is one of those special numbers you should remember, because in the 12 times table, it is the last number. 12 times 12. So let's put on the top 1. 1 times 12. And on the bottom, 12 times 12. Cross out the top 12, cross out the bottom 12, and 1/12 is remaining. That's your answer. Number 6 is 25/40. Now 25, the first thing that springs to mind, 5 5's are 25, right? And you know 40 also has a factor of 5. But let's start with the 25. So that's 5 times 5. Let's put a times 1 in there. We can always contract it later if we don't need the 1. 4 times 10 is 40. But you know 10 can also be 2 times 5. So 2 times 5. Let's cross out the 5 on the top, 5 on the bottom. We're left with 5 on the top and 8 on the bottom. Factors of 5, only 1 and 5. 8, we can't get any 5 into that. So that's the simplest we can get it. And that's the answer.